At the end, the exam, the partial exam also is based on the assignments, what you have already learned.
Oh my God, I think that's, like I was joking earlier.
Like taking care of themselves, because that's the first step to adulthood. Hello everyone, today we have a special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, hi, my name is David Oancia. I'm Director of Business Development for Blythe Academy online. Basically, I've been working now in international education for 15 plus years, and I've helped launch a variety of different programs. And now Blythe Academy is in the process of taking kind of online high school education and developing an international market for it, which is what I'm doing here in lovely Azerbaijan.
Great. And I'm Arzu Seyfulayeva. I'm a teacher, currently a teacher in CELT colleges. I've been teaching for 5+ years, SAT, IELTS, General English, and so on, so forth.
Our topics today is education in Canada. And first question is, in Canadian education, are grades enough or is self-expression more important? What do you think about it?
Oof. Well, I think, can I start off by saying that education in Canada is no longer such a small thing. Education in Canada, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Canada is one of the big four, right? It's US, UK, Canada, Australia receive more than 25% of all the international students. And many people do come to Canada for a variety of different reasons. And they use education as a way of establishing themselves. So Canada has kind of developed, that's a very kind of broad question. Canada's developed a variety of different ways of kind of dealing with a variety of different things. One, shouldn't come as a surprise, but Canada is still a country that receives lots of immigrants. For the province of Ontario, where I am, we receive more than 150,000 new Canadians each year. So it's an education, the education system there is an education system that's really premised on the fact of being able to help new citizens become part of the country. So part of it is that they take a look at what they've been able to study in their home country and make sure that they receive the correct academic credit for them. And then part of it is that the education system teaches them the kind of tools that they need so that they're able to kind of succeed at a post-secondary level. It's not really one education system. It's like a cross between kind of developing a tool for immigration, and as a result, a very good tool for international students to be able to kind of develop opportunities for themselves. On the other hand, students are also able to kind of decide at a much earlier stage what they want to be, i.e., usually in grade 10, the student has to declare, oh, I want to study engineering, or I want to study computer science, or I want to study business, or I want to study social sciences or visual arts. And the system is broad enough that they're able to kind of decide what kind of courses they can take so they can specialize at a much earlier stage. The other thing that's very different from a lot of education systems is it's not an exam-based system. What does that mean? It means that a lot of education systems, and I include myself here because I studied in Spain for a while, education in Spain is very much about a memorization. Like you're told, okay, here's a bunch of classes, here's the content, read these books, we're going to have some classes, but the exam that you take afterwards is based on the book only. So you basically memorize that book. In Canada, education is based upon what you're learning in the class and then a partial exam. So what happens is, let's say you have each course is like 110 instructional hours, but 70% of your mark comes from the assignments that you get. And with the assignments that you get, you're expected to have not only a good grasp, but actually ideas that you can present through the information that's presented. And then 30% of it is only the exam, and the exam is not about, gee, I remember the textbook definition of blue table. It's much more about, this is a blue table, and this is a context where I can use a blue table. So it is personal expression, but it is personal expression really at the service of immigration and multicultural learning.
Yep, that's great. I do agree with you that, I mean, it's a fact that Canada is like one of the powerhouses when it comes to enrollment of international students and all that. And also, I've worked personally with Canadian schools, like high schools, let's say, preparing students, teaching them different subjects. And yes, it is, I do agree and do verify that it's based on assignments. It's not only exam, that's like you whole semester you spend just studying or like slacking off, and then at the end final exam and then you're done. No, it's very good that they have assignments, which is the part of final grade that kind of forces student to engage in real time, to learn in real time, because at the end the exam, the partial exam also is based on the assignments, what you have already learned. So not only students like are given, as you said in Spain, like factual information, and they are just going to learn facts that they will never need in life maybe, but maybe hands-on experience or something valuable which they might use, critical thinking skills. And later on it's tested, whichever you have done, not something that you haven't studied. And it's tested and you get your score and you move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a system that really fosters a lot of independent thinking. And I think that independent thinking is useful. And I personally work a lot in online education. Like I'm in the process of launching online asynchronous kind of education at an international level. And all of the feedback that we're getting from the students is that even though it's an asynchronous system, the students still have access to their teachers. They're still expected to kind of bring new ideas when they're doing the assignments. Yeah. And the assignments really much are graded not only on how well the kind of concepts are repeated, but also how the students are able to kind of use those concepts at the service of other ideas, right? Exactly. So it's actually a system and an approach that is quite recognized. And in fact, now Ontario education is ranked amongst the top 10 kind of high school educations in the world. So it's actually working out quite nicely.
Yeah, it speaks for itself.
Our next question is, what are the Azerbaijani students usually not prepared for when they move to Canada?
Well, I think for when, like that's a very loaded question.
Very general.
Yeah, very general. Like, are we talking about high school students? Are we talking about college students? Are we talking about university students? Are we talking about families?
College or university students.
College or university. Okay, so there's at the post-secondary level in Canada, there's a variety of different kind of approaches. There's the university system, which is very much similar to the university systems all over the world, but there's kind of different kind of approaches within the university. There's what they call applied degrees, which are much more kind of hands-on, shall we say, slightly more hands-on kind of approach to education, where you're expected to put everything into practice through laboratory work. And then there's honors programs, which are much more theoretical. Then there's college systems, and college systems offer 2-year diplomas, 3-year diplomas, and 4-year applied degrees, right? So the 2-year diplomas is for like what they call a technology. 3-year diplomas are for, they call it technologist. Usually involves a co-op work term so that the students are able to put everything into practice. And then the 4-year applied degrees is even more lab work, but it's still a little bit more hands-on, whereas the honors degrees are a lot more theoretical and are aimed, for a slightly different kind of learner. So it depends on, I wouldn't say necessarily Azeri. I would say Eastern Europeans are much more used to kind of the theoretical approach to education. But at the same time, if they take that approach and kind of work within applied education, they're able to kind of take advantage and bring that theory, that level of theory to the table that a lot of other students don't have, right? One thing I noticed, for example, when I was working at the post-secondary level is that this is a massive generalization, and I think that a lot of the Eastern European students that we had, actually, their mathematics skills were actually excellent. Probably better, I would say, than some of the other places that I would come across. So that is useful. And then they're able to kind of apply some of this kind of technical knowledge and things like to kind of more creative aspects of education, which is quite nice. Is there a learning curve? Yeah, but there's a learning curve for all kinds of students. It's just a matter of how they approach it, right?
Yeah, that is right. Yes, I join you in the opinion that when it comes to educational system, especially when that they have spent their, like, let's say, whole 11 or 12 years studying, which is mostly theoretical. And in Azerbaijan, that's a phenomena. And you just learn, you memorize things, and then you're tested on it, not really getting like hands-on experience or critical thinking, analysis, and all that. So when it comes to switching from a country, an educational system that perpetrates that, and to an educational system that is completely like 360 different, then maybe some problems might happen in adaptation into it. But I think they do learn as they go and do manage. It just takes stamina a little bit.
Well, it takes a little bit of a learning process. I'll tell you
course.
one thing that, I mean, we did our first graduation here. We've been working now with CELT set up a school called the KA School for our kind of programs that we're launching here. And we had our first graduation. So we have about 20 students, and it's interesting to see that they've all ended up in tier 1 universities like University of Edinburgh, University of Amsterdam. Yeah. We have students that are going to, U of T, to American universities, leading, universities as well for health sciences and stuff like that. And a lot of the students that I was speaking to, because I recorded a couple of them, ended up saying things like, actually, they really enjoyed the fact that they had a lot more freedom. We do have, as part of our kind of app, shall we say, because it's a little bit of we do use a learning management system. We have an AI app that's called Alex, I think, and basically they said they used Alex to figure out how things worked, but then they really enjoyed the fact that they were able to kind of apply new ideas, and that the teachers were expecting them, because all of the work gets corrected by teachers back in Ontario. They really enjoyed the fact that they were able to apply some of their knowledge to kind of different kind of approaches and kind of learn something in the process. So is there an adaptation? Yeah. But at the same time, I think that a lot of the students that I spoke to anyway ended up really enjoying the fact that they were given more freedom in kind of the way that they could learn, right?
Yeah. That's right. I didn't know that. I guess what I said applies to mostly like people who didn't have experience with you. Like, you clearly, introduce them into the system, and they get to know through you and all that. But someone, I think, who, like, let's say, spent 18 years or like whatever age they are in a certain system, and then they don't really develop critical thinking. It's a skill you need to develop. And then they go to university or school in Canada, and they are asked to, like, of course, teachers guide them. They are asked to be independent. Some of them might be like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do? So it's great that Alex, as you said, is there.
I think we smoothly transitions to the answer to our next questions. What are the biggest gaps you see in Azerbaijan students who want to study abroad?
Biggest what?
Gaps.
Gaps?
Yes.
Yes. Should I take the lead?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
I think that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because no, there isn't gaps. It's sort of like, no. I mean, an education system is by nature something that should be able to take a look at the different kind of learners that you have and develop solutions for them, right? Yeah. It's not like, oh, you don't know ABC, oh, you're dead meat. No, it's much more, oh, you don't know ABC, well, let me teach you what the alphabet is. And then once you learn what the alphabet is, you can figure out, okay, now what's the next step?
Yeah, but also it depends, like what stage you mean. Like, is it the student coming like, hey, I want to study abroad? Or is it the student already like, had some work done, like education and all that, and now they're going, and what is the gap? So when it comes to the first type of the student, well, there will be many gaps because first of all, they do their research online, right? Before coming to you and making their request. So sometimes they might have unrealistic expectations or like, let's say, try to get to the result fast and like they think that how to say there is some type of way to do it without giving much or like working hard. Some of them do usually have that mindset.
But that's not just Azeri, that's everybody.
Yeah, that's everybody.
That's everybody.
But just like because I know Azeri people the most, I had experience with them. So like everybody, they are unfortunately victim to that mindset too. So when it comes to that, it's that. And then again, in educational process, like trying to get to that point, they still, I feel like, not all of them, of course, there's good ones here and there, but most of them try to somehow find a loophole where they don't have to spend much energy or like easy ways. And in Azerbaijan, there's a lot of, places that offer something in a short amount of time, like language courses or like, oh, we can get you to Canada in 1 month, you get your visa or like your acceptance. Like that, it's marketing, obviously. But at the same time, a person that also needs to have a critical mind and understand that that's not going to happen. And so when it comes to students, though, who are already ready and they've been prepared, it depends on who is doing that, right? So if it's Ontario, I feel like there is little to no chance. But if it's like, let's say, some other place, I don't know. I need to know that place.
I think it depends. I don't think it is necessarily something geographic. I think it's...
of course.
I think it's a little bit more. I think the experience that I've had with the Azeri students that I have, I mean, the grade point average is sitting from 85 to 93%. So we didn't get any dummies.
That's great. No, not about dummies.
Oh, no. But I mean, like... The thing is what I've seen, and especially through the app, because I'm able to kind of look at the kind of results that they're able to create and something like that, is that the students that we've had coming through our system have adapted really quickly.
Yeah.
And they've learned very quickly how to use things. The danger now, of course, is that you have all these kind of ChatGPT things and like that. Yeah. And we actually caught a couple of the students just kind of cutting and pasting. But I will tell you, when you're working with technology, Big Brother is evil. So it's just that we were able to capture them very quickly and said automatic 0, and then they learned the lesson, and then they're not able to do that as they move forward. That's one of the big dangers, I think.
Yeah,
it's sort of like now we do have this kind of AI that's kind of allowing a lot of the students to say, I don't have to be a critical thinker. I just have to know how to ask the right kind of question. So, and that is actually, I had a conversation with a student about it yesterday. They said, I learned not to trust it because after a while, I was realizing I was making a couple of mistakes. So I ended up taking a look at it and using it as a starting point. And then I did research in other areas so that I could bring it back and apply it in a much more intelligent manner. And I said, well, did you feel that was cheating? And he goes, no, because I had to actually source a lot of different materials.
Go through that.
And I thought that was smart. That was a smart way of kind of doing it. Yeah. God knows I don't do it. If I don't have time, I just kind of say, cut and paste, next, So I was really impressed that this student was willing to undertake something like that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool, like internet was once. It's a tool, you gotta use it to your advantage, but not completely, like, let's say, what was that word again? Not completely skip the experience and the hardship. Just use it as a guide and you get through everything.
You want to hear my great story about this one?
What?
So I have a good friend who teaches business at a good Brock University in Canada. And he was teaching, he teaches management and he was teaching accounting, accounting for management skills. And he was explaining how to do like spreadsheets to be able to analyze costing and things like that. And the student flipped his computer and I said, like this? And he goes, yeah, how'd you do that? And he goes, well, ChatGPT, it spat out the answer in 5 minutes. And then he looked at it and he realized, oh, that's smart. So, well, that kind of ruins the fact that I'm doing it. But then he asked something, goes, how much of this is actually correct? and nobody knew the answer.
Yeah.
So then he learned something. He said, okay, so let's flip this around. I don't have to teach you the mechanics of how to put this together anymore. You can actually ask ChatGPT to do that for you. But I need you to figure out whether or not the information is correct. So what he would do is set up these examples, which we purposely made mistakes in a variety of different areas. And then he figured out how to get the students to think critically to figure out where the mistakes actually were. And I think that's going to be the challenge of education as we move forward. Right?
That's great, catering to the new trends.
Yeah.
I think great story.
There are so many online resources today. Why does a student still need a classroom environment? What do you think?
Okay. I think that, first of all, it depends on a person, of course. Some people, they're like very good at just taking the material and they know how to learn something. They know their own patterns and they have the willpower to sit down or whatever method other than that they prefer and learn it and, get through that. But when it comes to like general population, I don't think that's true for everyone. Some people need the pressure of a classroom, and at the same time, the teacher in the classroom, he or she has so much to give to a child because sometimes when we are learning alone, it's like hard to know what we are doing right, what we are not doing right, or like how should we progress as we go. Like we can make mistakes and learn something before another thing which is far more important would have made it easier. But at the same time, teacher can lead us, guide us, tell us how to do something because they already know that thing and give an easier way out, and they can manage us, which when you do it alone, it's much harder, more pressure. People give up midway because they're like, oh, I'm stuck here. I can't go. Motivation is lost. One of the major things, teachers, sometimes motivation is not a long-lasting thing. So teacher makes sure that through that the time frame when the student is not feeling like learning, she keeps them in check. And like, little by little, kind of like a sister or brother or some kind of parent, they help them. Let's say overall, I think.
Yeah, I think that the in-class thing is a very important thing, but there is different ways of learning now. Like I work in asynchronous education, so it's like basically the learning how to describe this? Okay, so basically we teach all the same courses that they do at the high school level in class, a kind of approach, but we have it broken up usually into 12 modules. The modules include like where the information is actually delivered through videos or presentations or readings. Then we have a series of assignments that the student has to put everything into practice, and then a midterm and a final. So 10 to 12 modules based upon that, but the learning is very much a solitary experience because they're learning from a computer, even though they have to read or they're getting the information from that. However, there's also systems in there that are built to kind of support the students. So we have an AI bot that's tied in so that they can ask questions about specific things, but also there's an Ontario teacher assigned to the student whenever they register for the course, and they're able to email the teachers and ask for help. This teacher also has to make themselves available for an hour a day. And then it becomes about discipline. So the student has to come back and keep doing it and putting everything into practice and feel like they're reaching out. And I think the discipline is where a lot of the things fail. Like if I take a look at some of the students, if they don't come back or they get distracted and make it intermittent, the learning experience isn't so fluid. But if the student puts everything into practice, usually they can finish 110 instructional hours, including the assignments and the midterm and the final and stuff like that, usually in about 4.5 to 6 weeks. So depends, that discipline becomes part of the thing. It's also, the other thing I've noticed is that are the people who put together the courses, they're able to kind of extract a lot of data. For instance, In module number 6, students are spending an average of 4.5 hours more than they are spending in the other modules for the assignments, which means that they have to examine whether or not the didactic material is explained correctly or the assignment is too difficult or something along those lines. And they're able to kind of do things or do almost like a quality assurance check in real time. And that actually helps matters too, right? Now, is online education for everybody? No. And I think one of the things that we've done at an international level is really working closely with school organizations, like in this case, CELT, whereby they provide in-class support as well. Like they actually have teachers, which we train to be able to be like teaching assistants, so that they're able to kind of provide that element that you're talking about. And then it also gets paired off with the way that we're kind of approaching education at a digital level, a digital asynchronous level.
Yeah. I feel like it puts together like, how do they say, like best of both worlds?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, I think in some ways it could be almost like a new kind of textbook.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think that's the future. So yes, how to say, the way I was going about it, it's just, let's say, I think up to this point, this is the proven way, because to be honest with you, I'm all for the self-education or online, because I am that kind of person. But as I've moved through life, I've seen that that doesn't really work for everybody. But I think now that we are in this age of technology and internet AI, we got to find the way to put those two together, because that makes it faster and easier for everybody, and less time consuming, maybe, or cheaper in certain types of way. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about, in our case, we're really trying to develop, especially with CELT or CELT, is to develop this kind of hybrid model, so that we have, in class, in school teachers that are kind of supporting the students on that level. And then at the same time, we have the teachers on our end who are able to answer questions through emails and through making themselves available for an hour a day. And then we have this kind of AI kind of approach as well that are able to answer specific questions of the kind of academic content, right? So it's kind of delivers 3 levels of support there that are digital, asynchronous, and then synchronous in some ways. So yeah, I mean, it is a useful tool. And in fact, more and more, universities and school systems in Canada now are requiring a minimum number of online courses for each and every student, so that they learn that how to use technology, become a little bit more fluent in how technology works as well.
Yeah, the kind of.
So, based on what we discussed today, I need a personal opinion of yours about what is the biggest preparation for studying abroad: language, academic foundation, or independent living skills. Sorry, what do you think is most important?
Well,
Oh my God, I think that's, like I was joking earlier, it's either, gee, what do you need more, water, air, or food? The fact of the matter is you need everything. I'll tell you, like I've worked in, kind of international education for a long time now, and changing cultures is like, maybe not the easiest thing for some students. And for some students, they view it as very much like an exciting thing. Wow, I'm going to go to Canada, or I'm going to Germany. This is going to be so exciting. It's going to be an adventure. It's going to be wonderful. And then they get there and they realize, oh, well, Jesus, I really don't like hamburgers here, right? So, but then at the same time, I think it's okay. I think it's part of the adventure. Now, as an educator, I actually don't mind it if students fail every now and then, because it kind of really makes them say, oh, I need to find someone who can help me. And then, you don't always learn by getting everything correct.
yeah.
You actually learn sometimes by making mistakes. And I don't mind it if students make mistakes. Having said that, I think our role as educators is to make sure that those mistakes don't hurt them so badly that they abandon the process, right? So you've got to be able to be there and be supportive as they move through it, right?
Yes, that is right. I'd say, I think it's more like, I will give some Marvel reference, but like Infinity Stones, you know, like as you said, like it doesn't. The what is it called? The hand thing, the metal thing. It doesn't work without one missing out of the equation. So I think all of this needs to go into the preparation of the student. Language is important because the education is like, you know, is done through that. How are they gonna be able to handle themselves, handle the education if they are not very advanced in language? And other than that, life skills, they're going to be most likely living alone or in dorm, like taking care of themselves, because that's the first step to adulthood. So they need to have some preparation skills, like how to say, living skills, and kind of street smart, just a little bit of confidence to move through all that, because it's again, it's to them it seems like an exciting experience, new adventure. They will be great because this place is not like their home country. But then they discovered that again, you have to deal with people, and people are fundamentally same. So that's why all of them are necessary. You just have to, it's the misinformation or the lack of information that can become a problem in the way of having a successful, like let's say, academic life or experience in Canada or in any other country. So, but if you know these are the things that you need, then you can, you know, little by little, knowing is like 50%. You develop them and then you're good to go. But still, like there are some things you cannot develop until you're in the situation. So I would say practice optimism.
Exactly. It's funny. First thing you learn when you're traveling is what you're not. Second is what you could be.
Yeah.
Right. So you take a look at these things and you say, I really don't like this, or well, look at the way that they do things here, and then you realize, oh, wait a second, that's a new idea. Yeah. Maybe I can incorporate this, and then you learn. I think it's like kids. You know, I like the way mommy does this. I like the way that daddy does that. So I'm going to do this thing that I like about mommy, and I'm going to do that thing about daddy. It's the same thing. You go to Germany or you go to Canada or you go to whatever, and you go, oh, I like the way that they do this, but I really prefer the way that we did this back home. So you end up being a hybrid between the both worlds, and I think that's fine.
If you could give one honest piece of advice to parents and students who are thinking about the future of education, what would it be?
I mean, start early. Like, I think, like, if a parent chooses to be a parent, they need to consider a lot of things like education and all that prior to, you know, going through with the experience. So one of the biggest things, if they have ambition of having their child study abroad, of course, after getting their consent, they need to start very early. As early as maybe 13, 14, because the language education takes at least like 2 years, 1.5, something like that. And they also need to think prior what type of program or which country they want to go for. And each one has its own requirements, like even when it comes to university, let alone the country. So that is the biggest advice. And after that, you just find people who can get you there and do your research, of course, the connections you have through that. So
makes absolute sense. I mean, yes, I agree with all of that. I would say one important thing is the world is kind of pointing people out, like, I don't know, Erdogan or Putin or Trump, people who seem to think that nostalgia is much more important. Make America great again, right? Yeah. So as America, they seem to think that what America was in the 1950s was fundamentally better than now. Yeah. And as a result, there's kind of a pushback against transnational or multinational education. And it's wrong, right? It really is something that's phenomenally wrong, because they're kind of holding on to something in the past, but the past can never repeat itself. And the world is a much different place now. Thanks to the internet, I know instantly what the storm in Japan looks like. Yeah. how well Spain is going to win the World Cup, right? Or something along those lines. Or like the thing is that, so I think education is becoming much more international already. So the quicker that we can expose, the next generations to this kind of thing, they'll be in a much better place to take advantage of it.
Yes, maybe even children will, take the step forward to get to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I want to thank you for having me on.
Thank
It's
you
a lot
for
of fun.
coming. It
Yeah.
was really nice having conversation with you.
Yeah. So I don't know what the process is here. We're supposed
But
to
yeah,
say.
we say goodbye to our audience. Thank you for tuning in and watching us. Make sure to tune in for the next episodes and comment on what type of topics you would like to see, or what do you think about our conversation. Share your opinions. Yes.
And if you want to find out a little bit more about, Blythe Academy and online kind of education, you can visit our webpage, which is blytheeducation.com. Just click on the, online education, and you can find out some of the comments, some of the kind of content that we're delivering there as well. Yes. So thanks again for having me. It's been a joy.
Yes.
Thanks.